Hello and welcome back to another episode of Spilt the Plot. Thank you so much for being here. If you're new here, kia ora, my name is Bailey. I created Spilt the Plot because I love books, I love all sorts of media, and I just wanted an outlet to yap and create a community space where everyone who wants to listen and enjoy that can. And it's been really great. I actually have officially made it to a month. So this is episode 4 coming out and I just cannot believe it. I have had so much fun creating these episodes for you guys. Last week we had our book club episode, our first ever book club episode, and I really enjoyed making the content for that, preparing everything, like writing everything down about each chapter. I just had so much fun. And again, for those that are listening, thank you so much for being here. This is just, it's unbelievable to like have people have my voice on their ears or watching. It's just so awesome and it just brings lots of warmth to my heart. This episode though, we're going to be talking about something that I have had multiple times before, and I'm sure people who read books have the same thing, and it is book slump. And I'm going to give you my recommendations on what you can do to get yourself out of the book slump, really what a book slump looks like, and just chat and ramble about book slumps I've been in and how I've gotten myself out. Please take the advice as you want. If you feel like that's not going to work for you, that's absolutely fine. Not everything works for everybody. If some things work and some things don't, again, great. And if all of it works, yay, you're like me. It works for me. So let's get into our last current next segment and then we can jump into talking about book slumps. Okay, guys. So my last book that I read was Fury Bound. I have no words. Wow. I do want to say that I feel like it doesn't have the same pace and excitement as Bound, but that's a personal thing for me. I love world building books. I know some people can find them a bit boring, but I love it. I love learning about the characters and meeting everybody and seeing their story grow. And usually it happens in that first book and then things kind of settle down within the second book. Even though Fury Bound was incredible, don't get me wrong, I do think that Bound definitely takes top place between the two of them. And I know that there's a third one coming, which I'm so excited about. Like, I need it now. I need it right this second. The way that this book ended, I don't think I can wait for the third one. I need it to be here yesterday. So if you've been on the fence about reading Bound, or if you have read Bound and are on the fence about reading Fury Bound, read Fury Bound. It is so worth it. I really enjoyed it. Honestly, it does feel like a bit slow in the beginning, but just get through it. The story and the way that they get to travel, the way that we get to travel, through the characters to the different places on the map. I just loved it so much. So definitely, if you've got it, read it. If you don't have it, I highly recommend reading the Wolves to Ruin series. I also do want to mention I did do a one sitting reading. Does that make sense? I read this in one go. I opened it, I got the book, I opened it, and I read it in one go. I read The Divorce the other night. I rated it meh. Again, not one of Frida's best books, but I still love Frida. I can binge her book in one go. I can eat her writing up. I love it. I enjoy it. I do think that there could have been a little bit more area for plot twists and crazy drops, but all in all, just a normal Frida McFadden book. Nothing too crazy, nothing too amazing, but also I wouldn't not read it, if that makes sense. She's kind of like something that you keep going back to, kind of like a guilty pleasure. I really enjoy Frida's books, no matter how incredible or how bad they are. So yeah, I highly recommend if you need to have a read or need just something quick, The Divorce is worth just having a quick little sit down and read. My current read, however, is Play Along by Liz Tom 40. I am loving this. I am loving it. I am so far up to chapter 11, and I'm love being in Isaiah's shoes. I really, really enjoyed Isaiah in Caught Up, but obviously we only get a little glimpse of him and just how cute he is around Kennedy. So I'm so excited for the rest of this book, and I can't wait. I have a feeling I'm going to smash this out within the next couple days. So really, really, really excited to keep reading. And then my next read, I am going to be reading Yesteryear by Caro Kleberg. I am very, very excited to read this book. I have been seeing it all over my For You page, TikTok, Instagram, even on YouTube, just people talking about it, rating it, and I really want to give it my own rating. I love when things have mixed ratings or different opinions, because then it creates this ability to form your own opinion based on like what you think, compared to if there's a book out there and everyone's raving about it. It can be quite intimidating to read, because if you read it and then have an opposite opinion, it feels a little suffocating. I feel like that's a bit of a dramatic word to use, but it does, because say for example, which we will touch in an episode one day, but I read the first book in ACOTAR. Lots of people love ACOTAR and just that world, and I couldn't get into it. And I've always had that opinion, and people always talk about it. People always say, have you read ACOTAR? And I'm like, I haven't read it yet. So besides the point, I'm really excited to get into Yesteryear. I have a feeling I'm going to enjoy it, because it's a little bit out of my comfort zone with the types of books that I'm used to reading. It is definitely not something that I would immediately pick up, but I felt like that about the Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, and I loved that book. I devoured it. It was so good. So I have a feeling I'm going to feel the same way about this one. So really, really excited to get into this one. But this will be my next read. So jumping into the episode, what is a book slump? Well, to me, a book slump is having no desire to read anything, having no desire to want to even invest in content that is on Book Talk. For example, my TikTok For You page tends to fall off Book Talk. I no longer see book stuff because I'm not actually invested in seeing that stuff, so I don't heart or comment or save any of that stuff, just because I have no desire for books at that time. So to me, that's what my reading book slump looks like to me. I know that I'm in a slump if I have no desire to read or no desire to watch book content, because I am a fiend for book content. Like, I'm waiting for book talkers to post book content. That's how much I love being on Book Talk. And so when I'm not in that mood, that's when I know that I'm starting to have a little bit of a book slump. I'm starting to feel like not reading. I don't want to read on my Kindle. I don't even want to go buy physical books anymore. I just feel like a little bit of a standstill. So that's what a book slump looks like to me, and it can look different to everybody and each to their own. That's absolutely fine. As a mood reader though, I do tend to fall in book slumps more often, especially if I can't find something that's going to fit my mood. And one thing that I do think is a little bit hard is being in New Zealand, we consume book content that's from America, and we also do have incredible Book Talk content in New Zealand, but it seems to be, again, we're very highlighted by consuming American Book Talk, and American Book Talk tend to do things based on their seasons, and we're on the complete opposite seasons to Americans. So right now they're currently celebrating Summerween, and we're in winter freezing our butt cheeks off, and they're about to go into their summer. Like, it's very different. And so when they're excited for summer reads and their American book authors are releasing summer vibe books, we kind of are reading them in winter, but it doesn't have that same effect compared to this like fall, because in my favorite part of the year is fall. Well, they're autumn, but it's during our spring. So they're all getting cozy and reading horror thriller books, and we're in spring, it's starting to get a little bit hot, and it's just the moods don't match, even though we obviously have Halloween at the same time, and that genre is still very big in that time frame. We just don't have that same brown, orangey, autumn, fall, Halloween, horror thriller book vibes, if that makes sense. So sometimes the content that I'm consuming also puts me in a book slump, because I'm a mood reader and I want the book to fit my mood and how I'm feeling. And if I'm consuming something that doesn't feel like the mood for the space that I'm in, I will DNF that book. I might put it aside for when I feel like is the right time, but usually I won't be able to consume it or feel like it, which sounds very dramatic. It does sound very dramatic. And honestly, when I'm saying it out loud, it is dramatic, but that is just how I read. And I also think there's a huge pro to that when I find a book that I love so much, like wholeheartedly love, as a mood reader, I feel more about it because of how I feel that it makes me feel if I'm in the mood for it, if that makes sense. I hope that makes sense, because I love being a mood reader through and through. There are pros and there are cons, but yeah, just lots. Sometimes I need to just read the book because it's the next in the series, but my mood's like, no, I don't feel like it. And I'm like, no, I need to read it. It's like, no, you're not going to enjoy it because your brain doesn't feel like it. So yeah, lots going on up there. So as I was talking about social media and consuming content, I can rely quite heavily on social media, especially when I'm around a book slump. And I will dive into that a little bit more soon. I have found a few different ways to get myself out of book slumps. Most of the time they work. Sometimes they don't. That's absolutely fine. But most of the time they work. And I thought that I would just share how I do that, because I hope that I can help those who are in book slumps. But at the same time, I'm also very aware that it's kind of each to their own. So I really hope this episode helps you, and maybe you take something out of it. And if you don't, anyway, thanks for listening. So what happens when I can't find anything that I want to read? And this can be on a scale of, I have all these books on my TBR list and I don't feel like a single one of them, or I've read all my books and I don't know where to go to next, or what that even looks like. I will really check in with myself in terms of what I'm truly feeling. Like, am I not in the mood for like fantasy? A big book with lots and lots of characters and made up words and made up names and just quite a bit of time to understand this world and enjoy a world building book. Is it something that that's not what I'm feeling like? Am I feeling like more of a romance, where it can be, depending on what kind of book you're reading, it can be short and quick, cutesy little romance, kick your feet up, or it can be a little bit longer where there's a little bit more of a plot line? Or am I feeling a thriller or a horror where I'm expecting a plot twist, or I'm expecting something to make me feel uneasy? So yeah, I really sit down to try and unpack why I'm feeling this way and what I can read to get into to make me, I guess, back to where I was with reading. And most of the time, my reason for going into the slump in the first place is because of the fact that I've read something and I've pushed through it because I didn't enjoy it, but I was basically to the end and I finish it off and I'm like, yeesh, I need a break. So my version of coming back to myself and going, okay, I have lots of different little niches that I jump into. What niche is going to be the best for me right at this moment? Usually it will not be a romantasy because they're lengthy and they're quite detailed, and you've got to have a lot of capacity to take in a romantasy book. So sometimes I'm like, definitely not a romantasy. I'm looking at a romance and I'm looking at a horror and thriller book. And again, usually I'm not really feeling a romance. I just don't really feel like reading smut, or I don't really feel like reading the same genre that I've reread 100 times in 100 different books prior. So I usually will turn to horror and thriller books. And the reason for that is because they are quick and can be quite short and easy. And I just really enjoy the pace of a horror thriller book. And most of the time, it has pulled me out of a slump. Most of the time. So that is usually my first go-to, is to go to a horror or a thriller book. Another way that I do tend to get myself out of book slumps, even though I feel like it's probably not the most ideal, because I will be honestly, hand on heart, say I have a doom scrolling issue, is using social media platforms to, I guess, incite my hunger to read again. So even though, yes, doom scrolling is not the best thing to do, I have found my most favorite books by doom scrolling and by consuming book content that is making me feel FOMO. I feel like I get FOMO when I'm not reading books that everyone else is reading, or if someone's talked about a book that not many people know and I'm like, I need to know, and then I get interested. So that one, FOMO, is a big one. And just also finding out new styles or genres or authors that I'm really, really intrigued by is another way to get the ball rolling again with getting back into books and pulling me out of that book slump. And that is one thing I love so much about the Book Talk community on TikTok, on Instagram, on YouTube, is that we truly have this beautiful space where every single person can post up what they want. Everyone can talk about what they're reading and talking about, and everyone consumes it in a way that is so positive. And I've read, like I said, so many books where I'm like, I loved this book, and the content that I watched from it was, I read this book, I really enjoyed it, I haven't heard much about it, but it was really good. So then I read it and I'm like, more people need to read this. This should be a popular book. And so again, content on social media is really, really important as a part of getting me out of a book slump. It's crazy that I've said that, but yeah, doom scrolling has led to positive things, which is not good. Obviously, doom scrolling is bad, but I'm not afraid to say that I do have a doom scrolling issue. Another point about social media is I used to hate romantasy. Well, hate's a strong word, but I really, really disliked the idea of fantasy worlds. I couldn't get into it. I couldn't find my niche. But that's the thing though. In my head, I was like, oh, I don't want to read about, fairies and dragons and da 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 da. Well, let me tell you, it is not just fairies and dragons. There are so many other creatures and characters and books to learn about. I mean, we've got Diabound, for example. You've got wolves and people with powers and these worlds. Like, when you can appreciate the art of the author and how much time and just the sheer amount of intelligence it takes to create a world from scratch and write a whole entire series about this world. Like, it is just beyond me. So having more appreciation for the art, which I learned on social media, makes me love fantasy more. And now I love romantasy. I love fantasy. Actually, going back to talking about horror and thriller books, I thought that I would give you guys some suggestions on some horror and thriller authors that I really love. Anyone reads their books, they would really enjoy them. So we've got Frida McFadden, any of her stuff. I would generally start with Never Lie. That is probably her best book that I've read by her. And then we have Riley Sager. Riley Sager is such a good author. He's incredible. I hands down could read any of his stuff. And then we have Alice Feeney. Alice Feeney, her stuff is really good. She's recently released My Husband's Wife, which has blown up over TikTok, which I read a few months ago. Really, really good. Loved that book. And then Lisa Jewell, her books are so good. And again, very quick to read, very easy to get through as well. Her stuff is it's just so enjoyable. You don't want to put the book down. And then Megan Lilly, sorry if I've said that wrong. Her books are really, really good. That's Not My Name, I believe that's what it's called. I read that book last year and I loved it so much. So any of those 5 authors, I guarantee you, is a really good read. So that's usually where I start when I'm in a book slump. I'll read one of those authors to get me out, because they always have me never putting a book down. It's 3 a.m. and I haven't noticed, and I look over at my phone and I'm like, I've moved into this universe, and then lost track of time. Yeah. You know what I mean. If you know, it's one of those starts at 7 p.m. and then it's 3 o'clock the next morning and you didn't even realize. One of those books. Another thing that I will do that is a quick and easy way to get myself out of a slump is I will clean up my bookshelf, give it a little dust down, give it a little wipe. It's just a way for me to, I guess, look after my books, and B, it just gives me an opportunity to see all my books again, because sometimes when they sit on the shelf too long, and you can see them obviously, but when they just sit on the shelf too long, you don't get that same appreciation. So when I pull them out and I clean it all, I get to put them back in and I go, oh my gosh, wait, that's right. I had this book and I really wanted to read it a little while ago. Like, let's have a look and read it again. Or let's have a look and read it for the first time and see if I'm really feeling that. So again, that can spark my interest in books again. Another way that I use to get out of a book slump, like I was explaining before, is to search up books on TikTok and have a look to see if the book that I want to read is on TikTok, or if there's anything on TikTok that looks intriguing to read. Just be really, really careful with spoilers. Unfortunately, they're everywhere about books. And what I do like about the bookshop community is most people are really good at saying, hold on, I'm about to spoil a book for you. So just be careful if you're looking for some books or looking for a specific book. There might be a spoiler. So yeah, but that is a really, really good way that I use to have a look for a book or just some inspiration to get me to read again, because it's all over my TikTok at the moment. And my last way of trying to get myself out of a book slump, which I will tend to do as my very, very last option, is to continue a series that I've been reading, seeing, being back in a world that I already know. I don't need to learn characters. There might be 1 or 2 new ones, but it's just a way to make it easier for me. I already know the world. I already know the characters, or I already know who's involved and what the story really is about, which makes it a little bit easier. So that's another way I get into it, but it is very like the last option that I will use to get myself out of a book slump. To close off this episode, I just want to say book slumps are completely normal. Sometimes they can last from a week to about a month, and it's completely fine. As a reader, sometimes our brain just needs to process everything we've read and it just wants a break. Watch a series, watch a movie show, maybe find a new hobby. That's another thing that you can do while you're, in a bit of a slump. Some crafts or something like that is a great way to get your brain still going, like reading does, but just not reading at the time being. So yeah, that is all for this week's episode. Next week we have our book club episode, for our second book club episode actually, and the book is getting really good. I'm really, really excited to talk about Twilight more. We're right in the good parts of it, so I'm really, really excited for you guys to read it with me and see that episode next week. If you're listening in the morning, I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. If you're listening in the car, please drive safe. And if you're listening at night, I hope you have a wonderful sleep with good dreams. And I will see you at the same time next week. Bye.